Hello and welcome back to the channel, and we're going from this to this. This is the all new Sharkset Gripkit. Stick around to find out how to install yours. So I asked you guys in the YouTube poll if I should go ahead and do the grip kit from Sharkset, and the majority of you said yes, let's go ahead and do it. So today we're going to be installing it. Firstly, let's go ahead and take a look what actually comes in the box. Right, so we go in the box. Nice cutouts for everything, foam everywhere, just to make sure that your grip kit is safe. What it looks like you're going to get in the kit is a brake cable, the two grips themselves, they are foam over plastic. We'll see how they hold up, and then we've got the two end caps in there as well. So I'm going to pop those to the side just for a second. Under here and here we've got the front bit where I believe that will go on the front of the scooter to hold the main bar into place. And throttle there, so that's going to replace your current throttle. And the throttle cable. An extra brake lever, nice and handy to have. Then we come on to the actual grip kit bar itself. Seems fairly solid, but as I say, we're going to have to see what that's like on the way out. There's some sort of texturization there, and it's showing that it's made of aluminium. 6061 T6. If you know what these numbers mean, let me know in the comments down below. And there's some extra numbers on the side here, but we're going to go ahead and get that installed anyway. And if you don't have your own tools, he supplies some tools with it as well. And it's actually quite a nice case to have the tools in. So you could probably have this in your backpack. Fair few Allen keys and some nuts and bolts there. Alright, let's get started. Right, so the easiest way to go ahead and take this off is essentially just take this off, take the dashboard out, take the wires, and take the whole thing off in one go. So the new Sharksets grip set has the full kit for you, so it just depends if you want to take any bits off. I can link some videos down below of me actually physically taking everything apart. But for this purpose, I'm going to show you the quickest way of putting on the grip kit. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to go ahead and do is actually loosen off the brake cable, because we do need to get the brake cable out of there. So let's go ahead and do that right now. If you've bought the Sharkset suspension already and you've already installed it, you already know how to do this. But for those that haven't got it, essentially it is the same as having the stock forks on there. But what you need to do is, I've already cracked it off a little bit there. You get a 14mm. This may differ on the stock. I know that the Sharkset one is 14mm. You get that up towards the end there. Make sure it's held tight. And then you get your 8mm on there, and then crack it off. Hold that down and then pull this one off first, and then you can then twist this round to then slacken off the cable. All we're doing is creating enough slack in the actual cable itself so we can take it off the actual brake handle. There we go, so that should be slack enough. After we've loosened off the brake cable, what we need to do is just take off the actual brake cable itself, so it's nice and easy. That's now loose, as you can see there. Pull that out, pull the cable back and pop it out. I've already taken the 2 rubber bungs out here. There are 4 Torqs head screws, and Sharkset are kind enough to actually put the right tool in there for you. So we're going to go ahead and crack these off. These are very tight on. There is a rubber seal in there that keeps everything together. When you're taking out the rubber bung, I recommend using a very small, thin, flathead screwdriver to get it in there. It's a little bit of a struggle to get it out, but it you know, it has to be done. So with these, they are very tight, so we're going to crack off one, go to the next one, crack it off, down into the corner, yet again, crack it off, and then the 4th one, crack it off, just to loosen all that pressure around all that rubber. And then we're simply just going to take them out. As I say, you can go ahead and start disassembling the parts properly. In this case, I'm happy with just putting the grip kit on. The only issue is, I'm not sure the bell's going to work with it. That's something we can try later. Failing that, we'll just have to buy another bell. Alright, so this is going to come off very quickly. Handy to have a magnetic tray for these things, because you will deal with a lot of tiny little screws that can go missing, and you don't want that. We do need to take the dash off at this point, so because it's now wobbling, we've got the cables in there. We do need to take the dash off, and I believe that's a T10 bit. So it's a security Torqs bit, which is a T10. For 3 screws on top, which unfortunately does not come with Sharkset's kit. Just to show you as well the level of protection that Ninebot have actually given you. So they not only put the thread locker on there, but they also rubberize it as well. So when you do squish it together, it holds it in very, very tightly and keeps that water out. So, and then you look at the actual dashboard, it's actually very, very watertight as well. So they've done a lot of waterproofing on it, and that's why the scooter is worth the money that you pay for it. In terms of this, I'm not sure how that's going to affect the water tightness of the scooter, but we shall see. Every modification I've done, there's always a level of actually, you know, making the scooter less water resistant. Right, so this is fairly loose. We're going to now go ahead and just let that rest. It's okay, the wires are strong enough. Really, you would take some weight off, but we're aiming for simplicity here. Once again, these are very, very tiny Torqs heads, so we're going to put them in a little magnetic tray. There we go. Right, so now we have the dashboard cover off. We now have access to the dashboard itself. There you go, so you can see it's on. What we need now is a Phillips head screwdriver. There are 3 screws, one at the bottom here, and then 2 at the top, just like the dashboard cover. Perfect time to change your dashboard now as well if you need to. Right, so now we've got the dashboard, we're going to take the slack up on that. We need to get something to go ahead and snip the covering. So this is like a waterproof covering to go around all the components in there. Make sure you have another one on hand as well for when you do it back up again. Be careful not to snip any wires, because that would be bad. There we go. Let's take off the wire condom. There we go. Right, so now we just need to disconnect the wires that go from here to here. And it's nice and simple. They should just pull out. And then we pull that through. There we go. The whole kit is now off. So we can put that to one side and get on with installing the rest of the bits. Now we've got the dashboard off and all that fun stuff, we're gonna basically test fit these without actually fitting anything. So we've got the wires here. I'll just plug those in. So that is the throttle. Just gonna make sure that it recognizes it. Okay, so error 15, which is brakes. So we'll just lay that down there because it's not heavy at all. I'm going to plug the brakes in. You can't get these wrong. They only fit one way. So one has a male to female. For instance, this is female to male, and the other one is male to female. So you can't get them wrong. But make sure you take plenty of photos just to be on the safe side. And we're going to start it back up again. Look at that, so now both of them plugged in, both work perfectly. I don't want to go fit the whole thing if it's not going to work, and it just might mean I have to then take bits off of the other thing to make this work. But it all seems to be working fine. Let's turn that off. Let's go ahead and undo that one, and undo that one. So this one has the extension for the throttle, so we're going to go ahead and pop that out, pop that to the side. And we're going to thread that through the hole that was originally there. But what I'm going to do is actually, from the old bit, there's this rubber bung here. I want as much water protection as I can possibly get, so I'm going to take out these wires. That was a bit glued down, but there we go. Perfect. So taking off the rubber bung, that's going to go in as protection. Looks like it's got a concave side, so that's going to be on the outside. I'm going to get my throttle wire and pop that in there. A good amount. So I'm thinking my throttle's going to be on this side, so that's going to be in there like that. And then up like that. So I'm probably going to need actually a little bit more. There we go. Perfect. Right, next one is going to be the brake. So I want to attach this in as well. As I say, the purpose of this is to have as much protection in here as possible. I'll make sure there's no debris, no frayed wires. All looks good to me. Perfect, so that's now going to go in. I'm going to push the bung in. So next, what I'm thinking is there's two parts like this. That looks like it's going to be up against. That one's going to come out like that, one's going to come out like that. And they're going to be, that's going to be sandwiched up against there. Oh, so it's going to go around the other way, so there's a locator pin. That locator pin's going to go there. And then we're going to screw those down with the factory bolts, I guess. Or you could use the ones that are in with the kit. And it creates more of a lip up here, but that's fine. So yeah, so we've got new bolts here. We're gonna pop this bit on here, and to do so we're going to use the bits that already come with the kit. I'd like to have used the original bits that came with it, but unfortunately they will not fit because they need to sit really flush inside there. I've already screwed one down to make sure that it's on there already, so that I don't have to faff about with it. And we're going to make sure that we Loctite it as well. Okay, so that's going to go. You would have thought it would be the bigger screws, but no, in this case it's the smaller ones. So I spoke to Sharkset on the water resistance of the scooter, and basically with the bung in there, you're still not going to get water in there anyway. Ninebot have over-engineered the scooter. There's always a level of risk when adding modifications, in the sense that you're always going to have an element of risk of you know, impeding the water resistance on the scooter. However, if you're careful and you like to make sure that it's done properly like I'm doing, so for instance adding the rubber bung, you're not going to have many issues, and you've got all this surface area in front that's going to push it out the way anyway. The only issue you're really going to have is if well, water gets in through the dashboard at the top there where you haven't sealed it properly or haven't shut it down, you know, locked it down properly. So in the grand scheme of things, it's not going to happen. The only issue you're going to have is maybe if you keep it in high humidity areas where you haven't sealed it properly, you know, the water might get in. But then the dashboard itself is very, very waterproof, essentially. It's, you know, they've coated the whole thing in like a rubber. Also, Sharkset have created a 3D printable part that you can fit in there. I will find out about that later, but apparently that will help out a little bit of clearing that gap. So you can, as you can see there is a gap there. Okay, coming down to the last screw, and then we'll just give everything a quick tighten. When you're doing these sorts of projects, you really should have, you know, some quality Loctite or thread locker. Even just a little bit helps. The last thing you want is your handlebars coming loose while you're out there. So we're going to go around, and we don't want to go too tight because we don't want to be threading anything, but we just want to hand tighten it. There we go, until it doesn't move anymore. Perfect. Right, so the next bit is, so that will sit on there. You see it all coming together now, so we can have it pretty much any way that we, I guess, you guys feel. But they're going to go that way because that's what the picture seems to indicate it looks like. But first of all, let's get the brake lever on. Right. Alright, that needs undoing a bit. If we don't put the brake lever on now, we're going to struggle later. So let's get that on. And we're not going to tighten it down, we're just going to loosely put it on there so that it's already there. For the throttle, we don't need to worry because we can add that on in a minute. And I want to just pop that against there. And then we're going to get the screws. Alright, so I'm going to put one on first and then I'm going to lock tight the rest, just to make this easier. I'll put one down in the corner. Well, once we tighten the rest up, we'll come back to these ones, because I just want to make sure that I can get it positioned. Right, so that's on there. I actually want the handlebars to move around, so I need to loosen it off a bit. I want it in a natural position. Where it's going to be just in the middle there. Want that tightened down before it goes back. Right. Make sure it all feels natural. Let's get the other screws in. I'm going to go ahead and finish installing these, and I'll be right back. And when we tighten these down, I recommend, like most people probably would, that is to do alternate. So we're going to go back and forth between the corners, just to make sure we tighten it down thoroughly. It's just the size, isn't it? Bring that over here. Next bit to do is the thumb throttle, so it's going to go essentially that way, because you're going to be right hand, push it that way. So we're going to pop it on the right handed bits. We're not going to tighten it down yet. Would like to get that into a comfortable position. Okay, so it only goes so far. And then the handles, these will just slot on. Let's make sure that these are undone first, so we don't end up scraping the anodized aluminum on there, or aluminium as we say in the UK. Get it nice and flush up to there, that's perfect. And then we're going to go ahead and tighten that down. Actually, we're not going to tighten it that way, because I want to put it that way, because if you have a look on there, they've actually put Sharkset engraved it on there. I quite like that. So we can have that facing us, make sure it's nice and flush. Don't smell bad at all, which sometimes these foam handles and things like that do smell. Just get that tight. You've got these little caps that basically just pop on the end there. Nice. Let's do the other one. There we go, that's all on there. So now it's just a case of lining these up to where I want them. Underneath, where's going to be comfortable, I ride like that. I probably want it a little bit further in, so I've got a bit more clearance. A little bit further down. That feels. Great thing about this is it just tailors it to how you ride. That's not too bad. I can adjust that as and when I need to. So let's get that nice and tight. Okay, all right, the throttle now. Which one is it to tighten that one up? It's going to be the little one. Let's get it a little bit tight, or tighten it up a little bit, and then we can adjust it. Let me come over here. Right, let's get that out of the way. So that's probably a bit too close for my liking. So we're going to move it over a bit. That's quite a reach that you have to do on that thing, but I'm guessing if you like the old throttle, you can just pop the old throttle on. It's not going to be a problem. You just have to, you know, wire it through. I'll see how I get on with this one, but it's a bit weird there. I wonder if I could make it trigger style. Yeah, it's probably not, because it's going to have to turn around. Let's see if we can make that trigger style, because if we can, that would be awesome. Okay, these aren't really designed to be taken out again. There we go. When there's a will, there's a way. See, like me just trying to take that off. Use the thing as a plunger to get it off. It's only a sticker, but it's fine. And then I just want to see if it's gonna be if you can use it as a trigger, because if you can, it might just be easier. Yeah, that's not gonna work, is it? No. It's thumb throttle all the way. I'll tell you what though, you could probably use a different dashboard, because it's got the same connector on it now. Just use it as the throttle. I think that would be very nice. So it's going to go on loosely. I'd just like this to be like back here a bit, with a bit more. If anybody knows how to adjust that to make it a little bit further back here, please let me know. Otherwise we'll probably go back to the old throttle. I guess it needs to be comfortable at all speeds, because you're not going to be fast all the time. Or maybe I just need a more improved thumb. But I think that shall do. Let's get that tightened up. Right, so now what we want to do is link these up and just see if they will work. I'm going to put the brake in first. I'm going to need a bit more brake cable. Luckily, I've got the Sharkset cable in there prior to this happening, so if you do want to install this cable and you haven't got the Sharkset suspension, I will add a link here on how to install a brake cable into your Ninebot Max. Let's pull out these bungs so I've got some leverage. There we go. Pop that in there, around like that. So now we have that sorted. Next we're going to go link these up. So the cables are in here. You can't get this wrong. Brilliant. Let's just make sure everything still works. Error 14. Because we haven't installed the throttle cable on this end. So if we pop this in, you can't mess these up over because there's a locator pin. that's that one done. Let's turn it on. Have a look at that. Right. There we go. Works perfectly. Let's get the protection back on there, which is this. We're going to need a very small cable tie. This is probably a bit overkill, not needed, but I'm very cautious and I want to make sure that I protect my scooter's electronics as much as possible. There we go. Make sure none around the corner so I don't crimp the actual connector itself. Get that on there. There we go. Not too tight, but tight enough. Let me go ahead and clip the rest of that. And then we're just going to go ahead and put the dashboard back on. Using the last tool that we had, it's the 3 things on there. And if you're wondering what that was, it was to stop the light bleeding through the bottom of the dashboard. Because that's the thing. Not too tight on these ones. Right, then we're going to go put the other cable back on. Sorry, the other cover back on. And these are the T10s. You can lock tight these down or not lock tight them down. It's up to you. I'm not going to bother because it's not something that's critical to my safety, and it doesn't stop water ingress really, because you're going to get water ingress around here anyway if water is to get in there, so just make sure they're nice and tight. Perfect, so that's done. Last but not least, it's time to adjust the brake, and we are done. So after the full install, you're only left with a couple of bits. We've got the main handlebars that you used to have on there. You can take any of these parts off and add them to that if you need to. I'm not sure the bell is going to work, purely because it needs to be sandwiched in. You might be able to sandwich it in between these two, but I kind of like my brake lever to be a bit further out, so I've got some more space. The handlebars you're not going to be able to use, but yeah, it was a successful install, nice and easy in relativity. I did have a bit of a brain fart at the beginning. I took the long way around and decided to take everything apart. Realised you don't need to do that unless you want to take all the bits apart. What you should be left with at the end is the front bit there that used to be on there. The rubber bungs, they're not going to fit on there now, so we're just going to pop those back in here, and all the screws that are related to it, so not very many parts at all. These are going to get put in here, out the way, ready for another day.
After having a little conversation with Sharksets, you can add the bell onto here. I will try that a little later. As for the folding latch, you would need to make a modification of grinding out the inside. So essentially all you're doing is making space on the latch so that you can actually put it onto the bar itself. At this time I'm not going to bother doing that. I will do that at a later time. That'll be a separate video. So the grips kit is around 10 centimeters wider than the standard stock handlebars. However, this does give you more room to add some bits and pieces, so GoPros, lights, etc. The weight, according to Sharkset, is exactly the same, or near enough the same.
If you like this episode, please do give us a thumbs up. It helps me a lot, gets my content out there, and if you want to see more like this, please subscribe. Thank you very much. We'll see you in the next one.